just show videos, clips of me finding things, but today I'm out. It's Saturday morning, and I'm out walking. One of the places I find a lot, right over in that area is where I found, 2 videos ago, the one that's entitled, I found another one. There's a little gravel bar that was there, but it's not there really anymore. But my area that I've hunted here a lot since finding my first point of the year on March 28th. And last Sunday morning, we got a ton of rain. I think we got like 4 inches of rain. This creek went up to 15 feet. It's still kind of high, but this whole area, as you can see, is really tore up. And I'm hoping that this means I'll find something great today. So if you see this intro, that means I found something. If I don't, then you'll never see this video. Hopefully I'll be back with you. Okay, it's been about maybe 15-20 minutes since I did that intro, and shocked that I really haven't found anything, because it's tore up. And right there, that spot right in there is where I found that point on the March 28th. If you go back and look at my videos, it's the one that says Benton Stem Point, first of the year. And I think I got something here. It looks like a large blade or something, maybe a large broken tip. It's pretty big. It's at least 3 inches from where I'm standing. I just haven't really touched it yet. I'm just kind of poked it with my walking stick. And so, see if you can get where I'm looking at. You see where I'm looking at right there? Whoa, I blocked it with my finger. That's definitely something. I almost thought it was a leaf. So, see if I never get real close because I'm fat and I can't get low. But let's get a little lower to this and see as I pull it out. Let me unzoom here and get it back into frame. Okay, so we're gonna, yeah, see, that's not a leaf. That's definitely something. Definitely something. And it's complete. So today's Saturday find. Awesome. If I don't find anything else, God bless and thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. God bless. Well, I'm gonna call it a day. It's only 11:30 maybe, but I'm tired. 2 hours is usually wears me out. And if you stick around, I'm adding my testimony to the end of this video, so it'll tell you a little bit more about me. And so like I said, here's the one thing I did find today, a Cobb's blade is what I'm calling it, or a very large triangle, or a preform. I mean, I found it in the same area I found that last preform in, and I found another one. But my unprofessional guess is it's a Cobb. So like I said, that's it for the finds. But if you want to stick around and learn a little bit more about my journey, it's 23 more minutes after this. I hope you stick around and just find out more about me. Have a great day. God bless you, and hope to see you back soon. Here's another, back in the same spot, retracing my footsteps, going a different way to see if I see anything. Anyways, here's my find that I found today. A little corner ding, but I think it may be a Cobb blade. Correct me in the comments if it's not. But I figured I'd take this time, since it's been a lot on my mind especially this week, as we've had several hurricanes come to shore, and there's people in our southern states that are suffering from the effects of Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Sally, and the one that's potentially about to hit, I think Beta, about to hit, could hit Texas, Louisiana again. And some of y'all have been with me a long time knew my page used to be called Lieutenant Doug Monroe, and you might have wondered what the lieutenant was. Was I in the military? What? Actually, I am a lieutenant with the Salvation Army, which means I am an officer of the Salvation Army, an ordained minister. I went to seminary school to be an officer, and so you may not know that about Salvation Army, but Salvation Army is a church foremost, and a charity second, and we are God's hands and feet in this world, or we try to be. We try to do the most good. And so, but what I want to talk about is 3 years ago, September 25th, as a Salvation Army officer, we are set to respond to disasters, as well as our other jobs that we do, and like the Red Cross, who are have designated people to do disaster. Salvation Army officers could be working with youth or preaching the Sunday and Monday, be headed to feed those or help those during a natural disaster. I shouldn't just say hurricanes, because right now out in the West we have forest fires where the Salvation Army is responding to that. But so September 25th, 2017, I was sent to Freeport, Texas for a 2-week deployment there on a command team where I was in charge of logistics, working the warehouse. And my wife had maybe 10 days earlier came back from Houston, where she worked at one of our mobile feeding canteens. And so when I got to Freeport, it was mostly flooded damage that the people were suffering from. A lot of homes, a lot of the rivers that are around there were flooded, and I wasn't too big into arrowheads then, so I wasn't crazy, thinking, well, I can take a free time and go check one of the creeks out or whatever. But I'll get to my arrowhead hunting and the reasons why I enjoy it so much in a second. But so I got sent to Freeport, Texas, and over the course of the next 10 days, I got sicker and sicker. I would wake up in the middle of the night in the motel that we were staying in. May have been flooded, may have not. It had just had that musty smell. And so when I'd wake up in the middle of the night where I couldn't breathe, I would have to sit up and fall asleep sitting up, just thinking that it was my allergies that were bothering me, and that's why, or I had a chest cold, and that's why I was going through this. And so on the 10th day, I had gotten really, I'm one of those that go through stuff and I don't let anybody know that I'm in pain usually, or I don't show that I can't do something. I just push ahead. But I had gotten really sick. But that day I had unloaded like 8 pallets of food to put on a Penske truck to take to one of the locations that we were supplying. It was actually a Cambodian village. It's funny to hear, but in the middle of Texas, right in the middle of Freeport, Bazaar County, I think is what it is. There's a Cambodian community out there, and we were supplying them with food and supplies. And so I hadn't been out there because I'd been working in the warehouse the whole time. And even though I didn't feel good, I wanted to go check it out and see what it looked like, because I heard it was cool. I seen pictures of it, and I just wanted to go check it out. And so when we got there, I had to unload that Penske truck that we had loaded up earlier that day. And so we went to dinner that night and went to seafood. I love seafood, but I didn't really eat. I just got gumbo because it was the closest thing they had to soup. soup there, and I couldn't even eat that. And I went home and I went back to the motel and called my wife a little early because I kind of wanted, because I wasn't feeling good and I had to meet volunteers in the morning at the warehouse. I wanted to go to bed earlier. And so I called her, and as I was talking to her, I lost my voice. And so finally she just said, well, you need to go to bed. And so I went to bed, woke up the next morning before anybody else because I had to go meet the volunteers at the warehouse. And as I got to the warehouse, like I said, I never really feel good. I mean, there's not times that I can wake up in the morning and go, I feel wonderful. Even this morning as I got up to go look for arrowheads, do my search. I always call them arrowheads, they're not arrowheads. I've only found, do I have something here? Maybe I have something here. Hold on a second while I see if I got something here. It may be nothing. Oh, it's nothing. Arrowheads or points or projectile points, tools, artifacts. I lost my thing. I don't know. I lost my train of thought with that. Anyway, so I went to meet with the volunteers, and as I got closer to them, they were already waiting at the storefront that we had a distribution place for. And I tried to speak, and nothing. Sorry if that got too close to the mic. Started to speak, and nothing came out. And so, I knew I had lost my voice and thought, I've done this before. I worked for Walmart for 11 years, and it seemed like every year at Christmas time, I would get this, and it would be like bronchitis, and it would run its course, and I would be fine. And so we went in and started working. I moved pallets. We're filling comfort packets to go out to the communities that were affected by the floods. And I talked to our incident commander on the phone several times that morning, or what I could try to talk. And when he got to the warehouse, he handed me the keys to a minivan and the address to a urgent care, and told me just to go and get checked out. That they'll give me a shot and I'll be fine. I'll see, meet them for 5:30 for dinner. And so when I got to the urgent care, I told them I thought I had an upper respiratory infection. I told them I couldn't breathe and all that. And so they ran tests. And then a few moments after the test, the doctor comes in and she goes, "Is your chest hurting?" And I said, well, it was hurting because I couldn't breathe. When you have trouble breathing, your chest hurts. I've had bronchitis and all this a lot in my life, and they'd give me a breathing treatment. It's feeling fine now. And she goes, well, all our tests show that we took show that you're having a heart attack. And I kind of like, what? Heart attack? I'm just here because I having trouble breathing. I have bronchitis, and that's something that I've had before. And she goes, well, I'll call a cardiologist and see what they say, and it may be that you just stay here for a few hours as breathing treatment works on you, and I'll be back. And when she came back, she says, I called the cardiologist and we're airlifting you to Houston. That became a scary moment. I'm 1,200 miles away from my wife and my children. And here, and really, I know a few people, and Salvation Army is a small world. Several of the people I went to school with are stationed in Texas. But at that time, I'm not thinking of that, and I'm just thinking, seriously? And so I get my first ambulance ride in my life. I get taken to where they've landed the chopper and put in a chopper, my first chopper flight ever. And I'm flown to Herman, I always forget the name of it, Herman Memorial Hospital in Houston, Texas, where a nurse or whatever came out to get me off get me into the hospital. And they made the comment, we usually don't see anybody like you getting off the helicopter, because I was kind of, I didn't realize how sick I was. because sometimes I'm dumb. I mentioned that in my videos before. I didn't realize just how sick I was. And, she said, we don't usually see people like you and coming off the helicopter, because I wasn't bleeding. I was alert. And so the doctor started treating me for what they started treating me for was double pneumonia. And then when one of the doctors come in and started asking me my family history, and I let them know that my dad had congestive heart failure and diabetes, which I have diabetes and I knew that, but he had diabetes and he basically died from his diabetes and having a massive heart attack. And so when I mentioned that, the next thing I know, they were doing a heart echocardiogram on me. And the results of that showed that my heart infraction was at 10%. A normal person is at 55 to 70%. And mine was at 10, maybe even less than that. And so basically my heart was dying. My heart rate was at 140 beats per minute, maybe more than I think it was 145 when I got to the hospital. So my heart was beating as fast as it could to keep me alive. And so, once they determined that, the Salvation Army in Louisville, where it's our command post for Tennessee, Kentucky, started making preparations for my wife's plans. For my wife to come to be with me. But she had to leave our 2 kids behind. My daughter, the one that just had a baby, was 18 at the time. So my wife had to leave her with my youngest, who was 12 at the time, and fly back to Texas, where she had just spent 2 weeks herself. And so I'm trying to make this a short story, but I'm kind of doing a hunt while I'm doing this, and hopefully we'll find something as I'm talking and giving my testimony. But as 13-minute testimony. But as she flew there, she got there, couldn't get there before my heart catheterization was scheduled, which was scheduled, supposed to be scheduled well before she got there, but they ran late. I was supposed to have a stress test, but all the tests and stuff showed that I guess they didn't need to do a stress test. And the more I think about it, they probably didn't do it because the stress test probably itself could have killed me, because my heart was so working so slow. And so during the catheterization, the doctor I could hear the shock in his voice, and he goes, "Mr. Monroe," and I didn't think I'd remember this when I went through the cart, but they went through my wrist and my neck, not my inner thigh like they normally do. Or I don't know. I guess when they know they can stent, they do that. Maybe, I don't know. But anyways, he asked me how old I was, and I let him know that I was 44, and he said, "Well, Mr. Monroe," and he showed me on the screen above my body the vein that was feeding my heart blood, or was not feeding my heart blood, because it was 100% blocked. And he goes, "There's the other one on the other side is completely blocked as well, and there's another one that's 95% blocked." So basically my heart was only getting, doing math, 5%, probably less than that, of the blood it needed to function. It wasn't the arteries that the blood went through, but the blood that feeds the muscle, the heart muscle, to allow it to pump. And so he goes, "I can't stent these. You're looking at open heart surgery." And so, in my mind, I started, being in the room by myself afterwards, because my wife hadn't got there yet, just thinking about how my life was over. that I was going to be handicapped all my life and whatnot. And then God started showing me pictures of the weeks and the months before that and the days before that, and how I couldn't breathe, like mowing the yard, and how I had to stop to catch my breath several times mowing the yard, or the time I went out walking with my girls on Labor Day while my wife was gone, and going up a hill, and how I just couldn't catch my breath going up a hill, and just the different things. And even during that week, loading pallets and unloading pallets and all the stuff that I did, and he just let me know that I wasn't there to die, but it was still scary. And so that next morning, the cardiologist comes in and he goes, well, the good news is your heart's, then I was scheduled to test my heart to see what kind of condition my heart is in. And as I did that test, that was one where they had to take me, and it kind of got real then too, because the nurse told me that I couldn't be unhooked without somebody being around. So I knew that I was, really not in good condition, even though I didn't feel all that bad. But as the test revealed, that my heart was 95% asleep, and so my heart could have the triple bypass surgery I needed. So I was informed that the next morning at 7:30 on Monday morning that I would have open heart triple bypass surgery, something I never ever would have thought of 3 days before that that I was almost dead, and that I would have to have heart surgery. Never in a million years would I have thought that there was something wrong with my heart. And so, did y'all see that frog? Hopefully it caught it. But so the next morning, I spent about 6-7 hours in surgery and woke up with the biggest fear that I had was knowing that I would have a breathing tube in my mouth and my throat when I woke up. And that was the biggest thing that scared me, because I was telling myself before I went into surgery not to panic when I woke up, not to panic. And then to hear them in the background talking about having some bleeding issues, that they may have to keep it in me overnight. And then they decided to pull it out. But anyways, to make it long story, maybe longer, it was a long road recovery. 8 months later, I would have a Muggin scan, which is a computerized test that tells you exactly how well your heart is working. And the test showed that my heart was at 34%, which is just 4% short of disabled. If it's 30% or lower, I could get disability for it, because that's, even at 35%, I should be tired all the time. I shouldn't be able to do the things that I do today. And that's why I'm always blessed to get out and to do this. It's not because I find arrowheads, but I think God's given me something to seek after while I exercise. And so, some days I wake up and I take life for granted. And I take the things that God's given me for granted. But most days, I know I'm truly blessed by the Lord. He's given me 3 extra years. With my wife and with my daughters, and I've got to see and hold My first grandchild. And I have an amazing job where it's helping others. I get to minister to people. I get to tell people about Jesus. And just a little tiny side note is I get to walk and see God's beauty. And be able to find just little things like this that makes me thankful that I'm still alive. I hope you were able to stay through my whole testimony, and I really would encourage all the men that watch my page, and women too, that are 40 years old and older, who have no, don't think there's no reason to get your heart checked. But I encourage you, if you're ever at the doctor this year, just to ask them to do a simple scan, a simple AKG if your insurance allows it, or something to just check your heart and your vitals. You see, I never drunk a day in my life. I've never smoked a day in my life. The only thing I had was diabetes. And I just found that out within the last couple of years, that I had that. And here I was dying. Should have been dead. But God seen it fit that I have a few more years. Like I said, I hope you were able to listen to my testimony, that I didn't bore you too much. And thank y'all for watching. And all I can say is, God bless y'all, and thank you for being there and watching my videos. Peace out.